Okay, I'm back. So let's do the market phase. So I don't know if you recall when I was explaining the rules, this guy repeats over and over again until you pass, basically. So I can say I want to do this contract, and that contract. I can do all three. There's no limit to what I can do, and I can even do just these two contracts, and then instead of doing this, I can sell the remainder in the black market. I mean, I do think there is a rule. I can confirm it that when you use the black market, you can't come back and do a contract later. I think that rule might exist. I don't remember. Let's check. I do remember something similar to that. The rules in this, by the way, are pretty straightforward. I do appreciate it. I think if I wasn't, with other friends when I learned this, it might have been a little difficult to try to learn this from scratch, but it really isn't that bad. It doesn't. It says that they can continue to do contracts. So there's no rule stopping you. Okay, so let's do it. So here you can see we're going to do 4 of these, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to sell those, and we get 2 times 4 is 8 points, and 4 times 4 is 16 bucks. So we're going to get 16 bucks and 8 points. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That brings us down to there. And oh, by the way, we forgot this. 3, 4, 5 times 4 is 20 bucks. Because we did run our train. Okay, so now we're going to sell 7 of the Pharma. Because that's all I have is 7. So we're going to sell everything we got. All 7 of them. And you can see here that that's going to be 14 points and $21. So I'm making some serious bling. So there's 21 bucks. And the big thing I'm excited about is 14 points. So we're here at 51. So that's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And look at what we just passed up, folks. In one turn, we just went mega bling. These higher commodities are just much more lucrative. And you can see the Pharma is pretty darn good. It's only $1 less than the iron. And Pharma was available early in the game. So those are things to factor in. So we actually have 5 more. So now the economy goes up by 5 to a 12. And that concludes round 5. So we go to 6, and this is going to jump to 81. And we are out of energy. That's the one thing that we have an issue with. But let's flush the market. And you can see we're going to have some more Pharma available to us, which I think is going to help us, because the Pharma did do well, and we can sell 8 Pharma again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can see there's a lot of bread. Now these level 1 and 2 tokens, if you recall, we took out 8 of them. So you might be saying, boy, there's a lot of bread. Well, there is, and here I'll show you. These are the level 1s that we took out of the game. So you can see that there was a whole bunch of the ore that we've been manufacturing, right? So we got screwed a little bit because those ore were out. But then there was a lot of bread missing too, and then there was one of the iron. So that was the distribution of that. And then the level 2s here, you can see we were missing an iron. Look at that, 3 iron were out. 2 of our ore contracts and just 1 bread. So that's that probably hurt us more than anything, was that. Okay, so let's keep going. We are now in round 3. So there are industries from level 2 that don't come into the game. That's another thing to bear in mind, is all the level 1 industries come into the game, but the level 2s are just whatever we got. And there's another 6 of them that didn't come in. So now we're going to start level 3 industries. And so here we go. There's a heavy industry there that makes machinery. And it uses nice inputs that we make. Here you can see a freighter uses inputs that we make. And there's a freighter 2, and then a port. And then a farm, and a resort. So, the idea here is maybe using the pharma to just straight up make us points and money. 2 and 5 for 1 pharma is way better than 2 and 3. And that's assuming you don't have any multipliers, right? So our pharma all of a sudden is going to make us more at this port. But remember, it's just 1 pharma. You could still sell the others here. And then you can see the same is true for that iron, right? It'll make us some money. And the one thing I want to point out with that iron is, look, that's a multiplier in front of the score too. That's a 3 times 2 in front of the score, folks. And then the machinery one is good, but I think we're going to have to pick and choose what we're going to buy here because we can't buy everything. So that's our situation. Now, I could sell at the market still this round, and I think we're going to have to just wait and see what we're going to do with our 5 actions here. Here's our workers. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So this is obviously a great farmer if you're using farmers. Another great engineer and a handyman. And then this is an interesting one. Keep dropping them. This guy serves as both. So he could either be a farmer at a +1 or he can be a handyman at a +2. And the handyman at +2, of course, is pretty awesome for us. All right, so we got a situation. Our electric is gone. And so we need some serious electric. And we sold all of our pharma. So even if we buy a port or a freighter, we don't have the pharma, we don't have the iron. So we would have to buy stuff at the market if we want to be able to run some of these trucks or freighters or whatnot. And so that's an issue. And we need energy, things like that. So I think we have to put 1 worker here because that worker can sell ore to get, we'll get 4 energy for that. And that's pretty good. But if you look up above though, we could get 2 pharma and 2 energy if we're willing to give up 6 points and pay $13. That's not necessarily a bad deal. We just have to really think about this. So let's sit down and calculate some math. We definitely want to run our power plant. We don't have to run our pharma, but it sounds like we definitely want to run, well, it depends. What are we going to do? Are we going to buy the pharma one, or are we going to buy that one, or are we going to buy both? So always good questions here. And yes, this is going to require a little bit of planning. And if you're AP, then I'm glad it's a solo game because you could just AP all you want and I don't have to wait for you. Okay, so let's talk about money first. Let's say I want to buy the port, which looks attractive. This port, in my mind, is going to replace the trains. That's what it would do. This train does a 2 times 4, and you can see the port is a 4 times 5, right? So all the port's doing is replacing the trains. We only have one banker though, and I really like that Freighter 4 up there. Even the Freighter 2 looks good, but we don't make food. So I think no matter what, I'm buying this Freighter 4. That's 30 bucks. So I'm just gonna take my money out now. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. I'll just put it over here in this other pile. So if we bought that Freighter, and I'm going to put a worker on it, that Freighter is awesome. Now, we don't have the input for it, and that's something maybe we want to really seriously consider, but we may not be able to run it this round, and that hurts because there's only one more round left in the game. So that's the problem with doing those contracts like we did, right? We sold all the iron we made, and now we don't have any left to use as an input. We sold all of our pharma too, folks, and I'm not going to be able to get pharma and iron in one round. So there's a part of me that's like, well, do I buy this or not? And here's my answer for you. Money gets you 1 point for every $5. So I'm sitting on points here. This gets you points right away, which helps prevent you from losing the game, right? And then here you can see 20 bucks is going to get me 5 points. So from an economy perspective, I'm getting more points for my money if I buy a building, even if I don't use it. So that's something you have to bear in mind. But that's another worker. And that's the other challenge I have is, do I want to spend another worker on something like that? So I need to get an iron. I also needed to get energy. I have 1 energy total. And I'm going to get 4. So I'm looking at my situation, and I'm going to use 1, maybe 2, 3. I'm going to definitely use 5 energy. I may not produce any pharma this next round. I think I'm going to give up on the pharma, and we're going to go with that Freighters 4 as our primary engine. So I need a worker to get us an iron. So I can give up victory points to get an iron, which is actually my only option. Or I can go over here. Yeah, that's what. So I can buy, yes. I'm going to go here so I don't have to spend, I can get an iron and not have to give up victory points for it. And I have just 1 worker left. And I need a worker. So I'm going to take this one. And that's what I'm going to do. Oh, you know what? I don't have to go to the market. I'm not going to go to the market, folks. I think, because I'm giving up on pharma this round. I just can't produce pharma. That port would be nice, though. So maybe I should get it? Or do I get another worker? And I think I'm going to reserve the right of this. Here's the luxury when you're playing a solitaire game. Now we can sit down and plan everything out, right? So, and then I can decide what to do with that last worker after I plan everything out. When you're playing a multiplayer game, you got to be careful because you have to plan this stuff out while you're playing. And I would tell you that I'm inclined in a multiplayer game to just take another worker, but I'm pretty convinced in a multiplayer game they're going to be gone anyway. So then I would just buy a port and just take it for the points. So if I'm not selling at the market, I have to make my money another way, and I have to make my points another way. But I think I'm going to be fine in both categories. So I'm thinking this is going to get us another worker, but let's just wait and see how this plays out. So first thing I would do is I'm going to spend 2 of these, because I get to do it twice, to get 4 energy. So let's just do the exchange now. Okay, so I got that. And then I'm going to go here and I'm going to get an iron, and you just use this chart over here. An iron costs $8. So, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so we can give ourselves an iron. So now we have our inputs for our industry. I know I'm going to buy Freighters 4 because I think this is a pretty awesome one to get. And I'm going to put it right here. I know it's covering up part of the board, but I think that's easier for my camera work. And so that cost me the $30, which I already counted out. And it gets me 7 points right now. So 5, 6, 7. I'm already most of the way there. Okay, so now you see we got some stuff going on. So if I wanted to do this, I would have to have 2 inputs like that. My banker would go here, and then I would want a ×3 engineer there to max that sucker out, right? So that's what I would want to do from a worker perspective. Now, that would require two of these and this. So now what do I got left? I want to build this. So I would move this ×3 worker over to there. And then of course I need to run it, so I would put an engineer there to run it. So, and then I have 2 handymen that can help make more of those. I need energy like there's no tomorrow, so I need another engineer. So what I would do is take another engineer, put it there, and then I can put this engineer there, and that'll get me some more energy. Sorry if I'm making it so you can't see what I'm doing. And then this other guy I was planning on hiring would go there. And I actually have 1 handyman left. So maybe that 1 handyman, oh, I'm sorry, this goes there. So I have 1 handyman left. So now let's look at inputs. I'm using 2 and this uses 1. I have 2 and 1 left. So we can do a train. I want to do this. So then what that means is this guy is going to go here, and this extra handyman I had goes there. So I'm at least going to produce 2, because I can't ever be short of those either. Doesn't matter if I don't have multipliers, I'm still going to at least make 2. And that's going to be my round, folks. So let's see how this plays out. So as you can see, I took 2 workers. And let's cash in our stuff. So I'm going to take these. All right, so let's start here. I'm going to make 2 of those. 2 utes. Okay, and then we're going to come here, and it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to get 8 energy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the idea here with the 8 energy is I hopefully don't need to run my power plant next turn. So that should be more than enough to power everything next round. Okay, so then we go here, and I make 2, 5, 6, 7 iron. Same deal. I should have plenty of iron to power stuff up. 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, but then here's where we're going to catch and hopefully score enough points. Let's do the money first. This is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times 4 is $32. So $32 is good money. And then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times 2 is 16 points. That's where we're going to catch them, I think. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So you can see I gained 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The economy is slowly going up. And I'm realizing I forgot to draw our event again for this turn. So let's check that. I didn't shuffle these very well. And I also forgot to decrease the output of all companies by 1 last time. So, so for this turn, I'm going to decrease everything by 1. And yes, I forgot to decrease everything by 1 in the previous turn. So my apologies. I don't know. I couldn't fix that right now. That'd be way too much. My mind is not ready for that. So let's just continue finishing the round. And yes, I think there's some issue with the shuffling, because I ended up drawing the same exact event both times. And trust me, the events have a lot more variety than that. Okay, I believe in the final round of the game, all three of these are available. So, because we're, in round 7, all three of these are available. I'm pretty sure. Let me check. I wasn't right the last time I said something about it. I don't see it in here. So I guess we don't use the final 4. So that futures market is just not used. So sorry about that. I misled you again. So no harm done there. And then we get out. So there's a spaceport, and see, it uses the heavy machinery, and it gets you some big time money. There's another freighter, another freighter. The freighters are good, by the way, and these ones you can just use the raw ore and go straight to points. Food industry, and then there's a heavy industry here. Okay, so we move to turn 7, and it jumps to 109, so it's going to go back to there. And since we met our goal last time, we get one of these. So finally you get to see one in action, and it lets you take 3 energy resources for free, and you just, as long as you play it before production begins. You have to follow the when can you play it. And so I would just use it now and take 3 for free. And I'm not over my limit because we produced 1 less last turn, so that's even more energy for us. And the only thing I didn't do was refresh our workers. So yes, I think I forgot to draw an event card. And then one time, even after I drew the event card, I forgot to execute it. So definitely 2 mistakes there, and my apologies on that. And there you go. By the way, it uses almost all the workers in the game. I do have a few left, and with the expansion pack, it causes me to have a whole bunch extra. So here you can see some of the hybrids. Some of the hybrids didn't make it into the game, but you saw everything there was to see. The spies would have made it even a little bit worse. So one of the drawbacks of having the expansion pack is some of the workers, like the bankers, who are already rare to begin with, can get lost in the shuffle and not ever come out because you're too busy getting spies and other stuff. So just a quick refresh, the spy, if somebody else is running a building that, let's say, makes pharmaceuticals, and you needed a pharmaceutical, you can put your spy on their pharmaceutical building, and you take 1 resource. not from them, you take it from the bank. So it doesn't even hurt the other player. It's just helping you. But then after you steal from them, they get the SPY, and then they get to use it. And so it's like a worker that gets exchanged from player to player, from round to round. One of the things that sometimes happens is some of these event cards, they're not very helpful in a single player game. Like, you can do things that causes other people, they're forced to, use one less worker. Here you can increase the status by 2. If the company's cost is less than 10, you can buy it at no cost. If it's more than 10, you can buy it for half its cost. So this is a great one for buying a tier 3 building. And you gain a victory point in almost all of these. Each other player must deactivate an employee for the duration. So basically, you have to lay off an employee for just one round. And this is when you can play on the other players. If you get this in a single player game, the only value it gives you is it's a victory point, and that's it. So they're pretty neat. Sometimes they can swing the game in your favor. So that's good. Okay, so what are we going to do in this final round? Well, I can guarantee you we're running our freighters. So I'm putting 2 energy and this on right now. I have a lot of these left, and we have to be mindful that I can only ever have 12. So I can make 7 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can get exactly to 12. So that's okay. I can sell 8 of them here. So I want one person to go on the market. So I know this is getting cluttered, but just understand that's the worker space for the market. I don't need to make more of these. So we don't need this worker right now. I don't need to make pharma, although there's plenty of pharma to sell, so we might want to. So I'm going to just set it there and hold it. The money is always helpful. I don't need to make more energy, so I'm going to get all of these workers back. And then for 1 and 1, we're going to run that and make more of those. So now it's going to boil down to, we can make pharma or we can make whatever's up here. So let's take a quick look. Heavy machinery. I don't have enough. I only have 1 because of that reduced output. I would have had enough if we didn't have that event. So getting these is going to be tough. I mean, there was one market for it, and they are worth 3 points each, blah, blah, blah. This one, near impossible. Next one is just in power plant. Too late in the game for that. The Freighters 01 is decent. It takes just 1 ore input, and we have the ore. We don't have another banker, and we don't really have 2 more handymen, but we do have some. That's a viable one, right? Because that'll give us more points, and it'll help us to use that last ore we have. The one at the tippy top there, or 1 second to the top, freighters, it's nice, but we have no pharma. So I don't think we have the input for that. And then the top one, we don't have any heavy machinery, so we don't have the input for that. So I think if we're going to buy any one, it would be the Freighters 01, or we're just going to buy them to score points, right? To exchange our money for points. But just understand you're spending workers when you do that. So let's do for sure this one. And that would cost us 25 bucks. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 3. There's 25 bucks right there. Okay, let's say I want to do that. So I'm going to put it right here on the score for now, just to make it easier for camera. I would need a wrench, a handyman, and then I have a handyman, and I'm short a handyman and a banker. So we can possibly fix that by getting us a handyman here and a banker here. And since we're in the yellow, oh, I forgot my event again, didn't I? I'm going to draw from the middle of the yellow stack, so we don't, in case I didn't shuffle these well enough. Here we go. Decrease the Axia financial status by 1. Each player must pay a license fee of 1 credit for each company they have invested in. If unable to pay, a player must take a 1. Okay, so I do remember that event. So this goes down by 1, and I own 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have to pay $6. So this is a 10. I'm going to get 4 back. Okay. So I still have an engineer left. And we were thinking of doing this, so I can do that. And then this would cost me $3 because we're on a yellow economy. So if I pay $3, I would get at least a level 1 banker for that. And yes, I still have an engineer left, so what do I want to do? Like, we can make some pharma, right? And I still have 1 worker left, so I can maybe even, so I can take this level 3 engineer here, pop him there, and make some pharma. So that's my turn. So all of this goes back to the bank. Okay, and then I'm just going to take my workers back. And let's produce, right? So this cost me my last of this and my energy because this wasn't planned for. Or nope, I can't do this one. Hold on, back up. I had to use my last ore for that. And then I'm going to pay 1 more energy. So I can't do pharma. I don't have, well, I could do pharma if I want to just make 2 of them. Because I did have this engineer here. So just to back it up, I have this engineer here. I'm short this. I could have used, instead of taking this guy with 1 of my workers, I can go get one from the market. That is an option. So let me think about this. Is that really the option I want to do? I'm also sitting on $20, $21. And I think, so these 2 pharma here would get me 4 points. This gets me 4 points. But I'm spending money to get it, so it's not a net gain of 4. Man, I wish I had the 1 more ore. This really would have been sweet, making some more than just 2 of these. That would have been sweet. But yes, I'll use my last worker to buy an ore. And the ore, as you can see, is $4. So I got to pay the 20 here. That gives me $16 back. Okay, so now we go back to this. I'm going to make, well, let's pay our inputs. Make sure I have everything paid for. I already paid for that one and this one. So I'm not producing with either of these buildings or this one. So what I'm going to do is organize. Bring this back. And bring this one back. There. Okay, we're making 2 pharma. Done. I can tell you we're making 5 more iron. Done. This guy. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 times 4 is 28. $28. Done. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 times 2 is 14 points. So this is 88, 98, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And this is supposed to be on 109. All right. And then here you can see 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times 4 is 12. 8 times 4 is 32. I'm getting tired. And then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times 2 is 16. And so 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And so 8 and 9 puts us up to there. So, excuse me, the game ends. And from a solitaire perspective, it's just a beat your own score. I'm not a big fan of beat your own score games. However, the planning that you do to run your industry and you know, you have a score you have to like progressively keep up with. I do enjoy that, and I enjoy it immensely. In fact, and the score's not over yet. We still have to do this, and we still have this. So we're not quite out of the woods yet. I was getting into my review mode, but all right. So let's do this. So I'm going to do one of these contracts for 2 of these, and so that's going to get me 4 points and $6. So $6 and 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you can see here, we're going to sell 8 of these. And 8 times 2 is 16 points. So that's 22, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And 8 times 4 is 32. And the monies. Okay, and that sells 8 of these. So I'm just going to get rid of all but 4. And then I'm going to sell the other 4 in the black market because there is no contract left for them. But I can still sell 4, a max of 4 in the black market. So the black market price is $8, so I get another $32. And that's it. I can't sell anything else. All I have left is energy. So so then the last thing that's for us to do, as you can see here, I have $20, $40, $60, $80, $90, $100, $10, $20, $30, $40, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 145. So divided by 5 is so what is it? That's 70 is. Oh, I'm really tired tonight. I have. There, I got help. 29. So this is 38. Here's 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So technically speaking, that is the final score of the game, and we creamed it. You see? We're 2 rows over and up. That's pretty typical for a normal game. So you saw there I was sweating a little bit. And now that I've played one game, I guarantee you I won't sweat as much the next time I do this. After your first playthrough, you can start to cream the average difficulty, in my opinion, pretty easily. If you're a person who games on a regular basis, and you probably are if you ever found me, because I'm not advertising myself all that much, I think you can cream the average difficulty. So my number one criticism of the game is that they need like a very hard, but not a hard. So like leave the hard the way it is, but the hard is like very hard. They need something right in the middle. Something that challenges you a little bit more, but not a lot more. So let's show you. Let's pull out the very hard one. Here it is. And let's show them side by side. Okay, so this is the one we played on the right, and the one on the left is the very hard. And remember, at one point we were down to 7 points left, right? So here you can see it's just 2 points harder. So that would have put me down to 5. And then here it's 4 points harder. So that would have put me down to 1. And then this would have done me in, right? Because it's definitely... if I would have scored or played the game exactly the same against the very hard, I probably would have lost by turn 3 or 4. Because here you can see it's a 42, it's 7 points higher here, and then here it's a whole 10 points higher. And remember, this is cumulative. I mean, you're falling behind on the scale here, you're falling behind here, you're falling behind there, and you're falling behind by more because this has a higher bar. And then you can see here it needed 135 by the very end. And I'm actually at 167. So I clobbered the final score. And that's the other crazy part about the hard difficulty, is they hammer you early. And if you can survive the early rounds, it's real easy to win at the end. That's the part that's really bizarre about the solitaire play in this game. I do appreciate that they made this really hard, because if it was super easy, why would you ever want to play it? But it is. It's very challenging. And I mean, you can see our current final score creamed it. But the way we currently played, we did get a very impressive final score. But my engine was too slow, if that terminology makes sense to you. The amount of time it took me to get my momentum going and to finally start scoring points was too slow. And so you have to make different sacrifices to score points earlier in the game. And I do agree that in doing so, you're going to have a lower overall score. I think if you try to score earlier, it means you're, I turtled in a way. I intentionally waited for the perfect moment and for the perfect cards to make my industries thrive. Whereas this one, you may have to just take what you get, right? Because you have to score points this round and you can't wait until next round. So it's a very interesting conundrum, and maybe we'll have to try it sometime. The 5-player super hard difficulty is an absolute blast. I usually have friends that don't want to do it because it's too hard for them, but I actually think it's pretty cool because you do have to work with the other players, and you have to say, look, if you don't let me have that farm, I'm not going to be able to help you, and I'm going to drag the whole game down. And people have to decide if they're going to let you have that farm or not, because they want the farm for themselves. Or they want to just screw you over, but they can't screw you over too much because then the whole game ends. It's a very interesting game, and I think you're selling this game short if you never play it multiplayer. But the thing I love about it is that it has a wonderful single player, and it's a very fun game. I mean, I really thoroughly enjoyed playing this again, and this isn't the first, second, or even 5th time I've played this. It's just a very fun game, and probably my biggest criticism is this normal difficulty. Even with me being all rusty, I still creamed it. But that hard difficulty, I have never beat it, folks. Now, granted, I never owned this game before, and so maybe now that I own it, I can try harder. I only was able to do it for a few hours while everybody that was gaming with me was taking a quick nap because we were doing a marathon over several days, and so I was able to, sneak in a few plays while everybody else was gone sleeping and grabbing food and all that kind of stuff. So maybe I can pull this off now that I have a chance to think about it and really take a crack at it. But there you have it, folks. This is Crysis. It's a medium weight game. As far as worker placements go, I think this is how all worker placements should be. It's pretty awesome. It's a very awesome worker placement. It can be a very dicky multiplayer game. It can be very cutthroat, and in a lot of respects it should be. But I'm just trying to make sure everybody understands what you're getting into. In solitaire, you have the cream of the crop. You get to pick whatever you choose. Heck, you saw me. I was able to plan things out and then do my actions based on my plan. I mean, you'll never be able to do that in multiplayer. So you're going to want that freighter, and someone else is going to take it. And then you're going to look at them and you're going to say, that freighter needs ore. You don't even make ore. You make food. And they'll look at you and they'll smile and they go, I know. And then they'll just smile at you because they know that it's screwing you over. And they'll take it just for that satisfaction alone. And it hurts. It does hurt. And if anything, that leads to another criticism of this game is that there's a kingmaker element to it. Because what happens is when they buy that freighter that I wanted for my industry, they're not buying something that helps them. And of course, I'm not able to buy something that helps me. So that means whoever else is left is buying something that helps them, and then they're just getting ahead of the game. But with that being said, when I'm the one winning the game by a large margin, of course I'm the one everybody's going to gun for. The other thing is if you're playing this in 5 players, as much as I told you there's multiple ways to skin the cat, there is only so many ways in this game. I mean, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 resources in this game. And don't think for a second that in a 5-player game, each player is going to just focus on one. That's not how it works. You don't get these 2 until later in the game. So in the beginning of the game, you're going to have multiple players going after farms. Multiple. Maybe as much as 3. You're going to have at least 1 player doing this. Just 1. Because that's usually all there's room for. Is 1 player will take the farmer route, and then at least 1 or 2 making mines. And that's sort of where this is going to go. So you'll have about 2 or 3 here, and then 2 here, and then 1 here, depending on what happened with the bread. Because this sort of couples with either. You can make a farm that uses pharma, or a mine that uses... Like, the pharma is pretty versatile. But anyways, that's what you're going to see in the early game. And you're also going to see just so many people going after this location right there, because that lets you get a resource without having to pay any points. And then the 2 energy spots I was telling you about up there, super huge. And if a player makes energy, they can't sell to other players. There is no selling to other players. There's no player interaction from that perspective. The player interaction is in the worker placement. That's the only place that player interaction really happens. You know, you can say that that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm indifferent on it. I think if they would have added player trading and selling, it would have made this game a lot more complicated. But yes, it's a very simple game. It's an elegant game. I don't know, maybe somebody could critique the artwork. There's actually a monochrome side on the other side. So if this board looks too dark for you, there's actually almost a pure, it's not monochrome, it's like a grayscale. Everything's just grayscale on the other side. I have too many components sitting on it, or I'd flip it over for you. But anyways, Crysis. This game is at least 1.5 years old, maybe 2.5. No, it's at least 2 years old. Plus, I remember 2 Christmases ago playing this. They had a very small print run. It was a Kickstarter. I didn't even know about it. I have 2 friends that picked it up, and they were definitely the envy of our board game group. And this was a hot game for a long time amongst our group. For whatever reason, it just really checked a lot of boxes for us. And so then they recently did a Kickstarter with the expansion, and that is what allowed me to get a copy. Now, the expansion, let me show you that real quick. It's actually a really chintzy expansion. I guess it's not chintzy. I don't know what the right word is. There's not a lot to it. Basically, they give you new industries. And what you do is you randomly choose 5 to 8 of them. And let's say we picked 8. Then, depending on what 8 you picked, so if you picked, you have to just look on this table and remove these industries from the game. So for example, Recycling 01 is going to replace Mines 01. So Mines 01 would get removed from the game, and then we would get Recycling 01, which is this one. So this one, as you can see, oh, see, that's an interesting one. It makes 2 or 0 pharma. Now, don't get fooled. If you have guys here that add +1/+1, right, you're going to make 2 pharma. What it's saying is you have to have guys here to make any pharma. Otherwise, it makes nothing. But it's an or, so you get to choose. So it's just a very versatile building. I think that's interesting. And you can see, like, these are level 1 buildings here, right? So this is a food bank that just gets you points at level 1. That's not a bad deal. And then at level 2, you have a clinic that gets you 7 points. So that's pretty impressive. But there's no multiplier, of course. Here is cargo ships. So you're getting some nice bling and some points. That's a level 1. But look what it needs. It takes an energy and a food or an energy. So it's a very versatile. You could go farm or mines, and then this goes with either of them. And there you go. There's some more versatility. So I think they tried to make it more resource versatile. So that way it fits whatever situation you're in. I tend to like that because some of these buildings, as you know, their input criteria, there's a clear path. And yeah, we looked at that one before. And then there's this Recycling 02. Ooh, that one makes an iron. Ooh. Ooh. Look at that one. 6 ore or 1 heavy machinery. What level is that? That's level 2. Hydroponics. Oh, this would replace farms. So you can get, you can just get points. And so the way the rules are written is you randomly pick 8. You don't get to choose. And you randomly pick 8, and then you just remove whatever card they're replacing. So you can see those hydroponics are going to replace different farms here. And then the nanotech would replace the heavy industries, etc. So it's interesting. I definitely don't hate it. There's a part of me that wishes I could just shuffle all of these in and just use them every game. And then it's just whatever we draw, right? But I guess they're trying to keep the balance of, hey, if you don't want to have, because it's possible you'll have like a crap ton of farms that all of a sudden show up because I didn't remove the farms that these ones were meant to replace. I see that. It keeps the distribution of the cards the same. There's a part of me that thinks, should I take this entire deck and just replace them? And so we're just playing with the new cards and not using the old ones anymore. That's an interesting idea too. I know that's not what they said, but and then there's a more managers variant. So you can remove Mines 1 and 2 from the game and replace them with Recycling 1 and 2. Then replace 3 to 6 new economy companies with. So basically, instead of picking 5 to 8, you for sure get rid of Mine 1 and 2 and replace it with Recycling 1 and 2. And the managers, by the way, are these little silhouettes. That little silhouette there, that's a manager. So if you have a beef that you're not unlocking your 5th character, what it's recommending is that you make Mine 1 and the Recycling 1 and 2 of your 8 cards. That's basically what it's saying. And I think that's pretty neat. So Mine 1 and 2 would just never be in the game, and Yeah, that's pretty neat. So anyways, I know this is the fourth time. I was trying to wrap up my video before I think of other things. Thank you for watching. And this was an awesome playthrough. I was able to get it all done in just a few hours. And a very awesome game. I highly recommend it. I hope you can check it out. And I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. Thanks for watching. Stay awesome. And I'm so sorry I kept forgetting the events. That it's really funny because even when it's a game I really know how to play, I still botch the rules somehow. It's just my trademark. So thank you.